Wow, I mean, what do I even say? Sure, it had its problems, namely the animation and the fight choreography was not superb, but just wow! So first, before I get into the fights, I just want to take a quick second to acknowledge the interactions here. The fact that they made this Netflix anime special crossover a continuation of the manga crossover between Kengan and Baki to celebrate Baki's anniversary is probably one of my favorite things about this. Like, they are legitimately making a Kengan x Baki continuity, and I am there for it. I wish we could have seen Doppo versus Paing, Paing's father, but I like things the way they are. That it's often referenced, but the winner or the details of the fight are never revealed, besides it making Paing a big fan of Doppo, and it in turn leaving Doppo in a state of recovery for 6 months. It gives it a sense of mysticism, like some kind of ancient legendary battle between two of the strongest standing style martial artists in each verse, even though Paing didn't even really exist as a character before the manga special. Also on that note, something I didn't know since I never listened to the English dub of Baki or Kengan, but I'm pretty sure Doppo and Kuroki have the same English voice actor, so they definitely missed an opportunity for them to talk to each other there. In any case, I enjoyed how that gave Paing a connection to Doppo and the Korakuen fighters, how Gaia and Muteba, the two renowned battle-hardened mercenaries, were familiar with each other, and how their interaction gave a nod to Gaia's scream attack being a good counter to Muteba's heightened hearing. I enjoyed just about everything about Oliva and Julius, from them respecting each other's physique to trading workout routines, including callbacks to Oliva's helicopter lifting and Julius's Formula 1 introduction, and their arm wrestle. I enjoyed the little interaction between the two Aiki masters, Hatsumi and Shibukawa. The thing between Adam and Chiharu was hilarious. The commentary from Seki, Adam, Cosmo, and Gaolang from the Kengan side, and Kaku, Retsu, Jiaku, Kato, and Katsumi from the Baki side was also classic audience narration, informative and fun. Kaku knowing everyone and everything and calling Metsudo a kid because dog is almost 150 years old. Akoya and the returned death row inmates at the end definitely hyped me up for the teased next crossover. Mitzi and Metzi is just the best thing ever. It was all just really great. As for the fights, while the only thing that actually shocked me or subverted my expectations at all was Hanayama winning, I very much enjoyed the back and forth between Paing and Hanayama, and the fight itself played out very similarly to what I expected. Hanayama and Paing slug it out, though I was expecting a little more technique from Paing. Hanayama spams destructive force, Paing defends himself with his lethway conditioned bones, particularly his skull. Hanayama tanks Paing's attacks via his raw grit and durability, as well as a nearly 200-pound weight advantage, and vice grip is a massive upset. I can't say I was expecting a clash of Hammer of Burma and destructive force, but it made sense. Paing's pride as a fighter rests on the toughness of his skull and the power of the Hammer of Burma, and since his family has history with the Korakuen fighters, his father's legacy and Saw's ability to stack up to it is also on the line here, at least in Paing's eyes. So while he could just dodge an attack, he wanted to overcome Hanayama in a direct clash, which, ironically enough, instead of a code of honor being Hanayama's downfall, it was Paing's. I also liked the references, like how Paing's reaction to Hanayama's destructive force punch was the same as Katsumi's in the Maximum Tournament, disbelief and then an attempt to block it, resulting in having Paing's hand smashed into his face and having his whole body launched backwards. I liked the Kengan commentary characters talking about the rumors that Hanayama hasn't even trained and is just insanely naturally gifted. Hanayama's "you wanna keep fighting," and it's being turned back around onto him by Paing, and of course the moment Hanayama's fingers break against the Hammer of Burma, and he uses his grip to crunch his hand back into a fist, very likely being a reference to Hanayama's original fight with Baki, where Baki overcame Hanayama's destructive force punch by breaking each of his fingers instead of clashing with his whole fist. I genuinely thought that we were gonna see a repeat of what Hanayama did there, where after breaking several fingers, he feints a clash only to switch to a left hook or overhead. Regardless, you were awesome, Paing. Common, uncommon, Hanayama W. Jack vs. Raian was definitely the weakest fight for me, but with 3 great fights, one of them has to be the worst, and I still think it was fantastic. First off, I very much enjoyed how they set up the reason for the fight. Instead of it simply being Baki rival versus Ohma rival, they made it about a genetically engineered prodigy versus a man who had to crawl his way up from the bottom and do whatever it takes to become strong. The genuine article versus a faker. The 100% release of the latent strength a human innately has within versus the power one can acquire through the advanced scientific and medical procedures available and top-of-the-line drugs, chemicals, and steroids. we see that dichotomy reflected in the fight. Raian dominates the beginning of the fight until Jack overcomes his raw natural strength with his determination and spirit by sending him flying back with a Jack classic chop blow. Then it comes down to both men's transformations, their ultimate forms, the pinnacles of what they represent. Raian with his removal unlocking 100% of his innate power, which I very much enjoyed that Kaku knew what it was and had seen it before, and Jack once again indeed maxing on a dime baggie of X4 as I correctly noticed. Their fight ensues, with Jack now utilizing his biting, but Raian is able to overwhelm him similarly to his defeating Mokichi, but of course the man who fought Pickle twice in a row can't be put down that easily, and he immediately gets back up. Now, here's where things got a little rocky story-wise. Tokugawa correctly states that Jack and Raian are gonna keep going at it until one of them dies. But he and Metsudo want to, for some reason, stop this. Metsudo, the same man who organized the same Kengan fights where fights like Muteba vs Meguro, Raian vs Mokichi, and Okoya vs Cosmo happened as he watched on, and Tokugawa, the same man who held his arena doctor at knife point when he attempted to intervene between Jack and Baki out of concern for Jack's health. Sure, people change. But in my humble opinion, based on how Tokugawa has been characterized throughout the nearly 40 years of Baki, he has not. He literally hasn't changed a single bit since the moment we met him, except maybe when he learned not to mess with supernatural affairs beyond his understanding. But this is Baki Hanma Tokugawa. He's not going to learn that lesson until the next arc. In any case, then Pickle randomly shows up and everyone dogpiles in to de-escalate the situation, with Baki, Retsu, and Katsumi stopping Raian, Ohma stopping Pickle, and Baki pulling double duty to talk Jack down. It's very out of character for Jack to just let this go, as it took 2 whole ass whoopings and a major embarrassment for him to learn the lesson with Pickle, but I understand that they had to find a way to give the Kengan side a win while not getting all the Jack stands and fanboys butt hurt. It was just very strange on every account, and I was definitely sad to see that Jack really only used 2 named techniques, chop blow and bite, and otherwise just relied on his pit fighting, but with Raian only using brute force, Jack using Aiki, the Nukite, Lion Dance, and so on would have negged Raian, making it very difficult to give Kengan a win there. For a second there, I legit thought that Jack would pass out from the prior choke, and Raian would go down with him due to the blood loss a la Jack vs Nomi, and it was going to be a draw, but no such luck. A different fight would end up being the inevitable draw. All in all, I think they kinda wrote themselves into a corner, but they stuck the landing getting out, and I still very much enjoyed the fight. Now for the main event, the fight that hopeful, naive Christian prayed would have a decision but knew in his heart of hearts would end in a draw. Baki vs Ohma was fucking fantastic. Hands down, by and long the best fight, and best part of the crossover naturally, having been hyped up since the end of the special manga crossover. I would have loved to have seen more of Ohma's arsenal beyond Adamantine and Redirection Kata, but we also got to see a stealth reveal of Demon's Bane to counter Baki's Cockroach Dash before it was even animated in the actual Kengan series, which is fucking awesome. Baki was hyping up Ohma the whole fight, and as for Baki, man, they fucking cooked. They gassed my boy up the entire crossover, due respect, and no fucking shot, they almost included every major move in his arsenal, a lot of which I predicted we'd see, and they even used the moves the way I expected. It was amazing to finally get to see Baki use his full arsenal of moves in an equal fight, as, being how strong Baki is, we don't really get to see that anymore. Right out of the gate, Ohma gets knocked down by a 0.5 second unconscious, something I knew Ohma would have to look out for and didn't have an answer for, and from there it's just an all-out brawl of techniques back and forth. We get indestructible, Baki counters with Go Taijutsu, Ohma's ability to adapt on the fly is shown off as he counters Go Taijutsu after seeing it once and counters with an Iron Breaker, so Baki comes back with Benda, an attack Ohma can't defend against, so instead of defending it with a block, he catches the Benda and counters with a Weeping Willow, Kengan's Aiki equivalent, along with, of course, Aiki itself from Hatsumi. But Baki activates his Hanma blood and decides to bust out his ultimate technique, the Cockroach Dash. But even though his acceleration is at blitzing speed and overwhelming power, even that couldn't reach Tokita Ohma. Ohma uses his ultimate technique, Demon's Bane, a formless technique that basically auto-counters an attack with the force of the attack received, in addition to Ohma's own attack power, a great counter to an attack with immense speed, power, or both. And Ohma tries to follow up and seal the deal with a Flashing Steel Smash, an Adamantine and Flame Kata combo move. But Baki, for the first time ever I believe, uses Shaoli and completely negs the attack by relaxing to let the force pass through him. Baki then tries to counter and switch to the offense with a Mach Punch, but Ohma again uses Weeping Willow, only for Baki to copy it after seeing it only once and Weeping Willow Ohma's Weeping Willow, not even needing to use his master level Aiki. Finally, the fight comes to a close as Ohma activates Possessing Spirit, and Baki activates his Demon back, and they pummel the shit out of each other until plot device Yujiro and Kuroki show up and force the fight to a draw. Don't really vibe with Yujiro getting involved in someone honestly barely keeping up with Baki, and Kuroki interrupting a fight he has nothing to do with. Very out of character for both, especially in light of Baki and Yujiro's rekindled relationship and understanding and respect for each other and all that. Regardless, great fights, loved seeing Baki dip into that vast, amazing arsenal, very much enjoyed that Ohma and co were serious contenders worthy of respect. The whole thing was incredibly entertaining, and I'd give the crossover like a 9 out of 10, man. Alright, just wanted to gush about the crossover because of the hype, get my thoughts out there and discuss with you guys in Discord and in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and how it went versus your predictions. Thank you all so much for watching, and get hyped for the upcoming combat clarification for the 4,000 years of Chinese martial arts, and a Garden discussion video, as well as more Kengan Maximum since this has my hype skyrocketed for the series. Peace.